Welcome back to the podcast, Philippe. Today we're diving deep into satellite calling.
Yeah, imagine being able to make calls from anywhere on Earth, even those super remote places, and just using your smartphone. We'll be talking about how it all works, what it can do right now, and taking a closer look at how it's rolling out in Europe, Canada, and the United States.
It really is amazing how far we've come. Remember those old satellite phones?
Yeah.
Huge and expensive. Now we're about to have this tech built into our smartphones.
Okay, so how does this tech actually work? What's happening behind the scenes to make these calls possible?
Well, at the heart of it all are smartphones. They have special chips inside that let them talk directly to satellites. Those satellites are orbiting Earth, and they send the signal back down, either to ground stations or even to other satellites. And that connects you to whoever you're calling.
So basically, these satellites are like cell towers in space, extending coverage way beyond where cell networks reach. That's incredible. So who's leading the charge and bringing this to everyone? We're seeing some big players like SpaceX. They're making big progress with their service called Direct-to-Cell. It lets compatible smartphones, ones that use LTE tech, to connect to their Starlink satellite network. And in Europe, Vodafone's doing something similar, partnering up with AST SpaceMobile and using their Bluebird network.
Sounds like it's a two-horse race for now. But are these services just basic calls and texts? Or is there more on the horizon?
Right now, they both offer basic stuff, SMS messaging and voice calls through the satellites. But things are moving fast. Both companies are testing video calls. In fact, Vodafone just did their first successful video call through a satellite, and they used a standard 4G, 5G smartphone in Europe.
Wow, that's a big step forward. What about data speeds? How do they compare to normal cell networks? Are we talking dial-up speeds?
Not quite. Early reports say Starlink speeds are like a 3G connection right now. Vodafone's aiming for much faster speeds, though. They say they could get up to 120 megaohms with their Bluebird network.
120 megaohms through satellite. That's impressive. Could you stream HD video from the Amazon rainforest with that?
That's exactly what they're going for. Of course, being able to get those speeds consistently will depend on a lot of things, like the satellite infrastructure and how much capacity the network has.
Sounds like there's a lot more to come, but the potential is really exciting. Let's talk about Europe. What's the situation with satellite calling there?
Well, commercial services aren't widely available yet, but things are looking good. Vodafone's planning to launch their service by late 2025 or early 2026. And Starlink's expanding their coverage, too. They're working with European operators, like Salt in Switzerland.
So Europe's getting ready for satellite calling. What about Canada? Where do things stand there?
Canada's making big progress, too, getting ready for satellite calling. Commercial service isn't widely available just yet, but Rogers, they're a big telecom provider. Well, they've partnered with Starlink to offer direct-to-cell across the country. They're expecting to launch in late 2025.
So Canada's not far behind, but does that mean Canada's putting all its eggs in one basket with this Rogers Starlink thing?
Not really. There's another Canadian company, Terar Solutions. They're planning to launch their own satellite mobile service. They want full coverage across Canada. Also in 2025, so it sounds like there'll be some competition in Canada.
Competition is usually good for us consumers. Let's head south now to the United States. They're often ahead of the curve with new tech. Is that true for satellite calling?
Yeah, the U.S. has taken an early lead, like we talked about earlier. SpaceX's direct-to-cell service is already up and running. If you have a compatible smartphone, you can connect to Starlink satellites. No extra hardware needed.
So in the U.S., it's not just a future thing. It's happening now. What's the coverage like there?
It's working in urban areas and rural areas across the U.S., indoors and outdoors. It's a big change in how we think about staying connected.
It's amazing that we're at this point already. What about phone models? Which ones can use satellite calling tech right now?
There are a bunch already. Apple's got the iPhone 14 and iPhone 15 series. Those can send SOS messages through satellite. Huawei's Mate 50 and Mate 50 Pro, they use the Beidou satellite network for short messages. And then there are tough phones, like the Cat S75 and Motorola Defy 2. They both have satellite communication built in.
Those are some cool options. But what about everyone else? People who don't want to buy a new phone just for this, can they get in on the action?
For sure. There are accessories like the Motorola Satellite Link. You can pair it with your existing smartphone. It basically adds satellite communication to your current phone.
So even older phones can join the party.
Mm.
Speaking of older tech, I remember Samsung saying their Galaxy S25 would have satellite stuff. Did that actually happen?
Yeah, kind of. The Galaxy S25 has Snapdragon satellite tech in it, but whether you can actually use it depends on your mobile operator and what deals they have with satellite companies.
So even if your phone can do satellite stuff, there might be regional limits based on your carrier. Sounds like being truly connected anywhere is still in the future. but it's getting closer fast. What are you most excited about with this tech?
I'm really interested in how this could connect people who don't have internet access, bridging the digital divide. Imagine remote villages being able to get important information, education stuff, health services.
That's a powerful thought.
Mm.
I'm excited about what this could mean for adventurers and scientists, anyone working in tough, remote places. Imagine researchers in the Amazon being able to share their findings easily, or disaster relief teams coordinating during emergencies, all thanks to satellite calling. This tech could be a game changer, way beyond just making calls from far-off places.
Absolutely, it could have a huge impact on all kinds of industries and on our lives. It even makes you wonder, could this actually speed up space exploration?
That's a really interesting thought. The possibilities are amazing. As we wrap up our deep dive into satellite calling, we want to hear from you. What excites you about this technology? What questions do you have? Let us know in the comments.
And if you enjoyed this look at satellite calling, hit that like button and subscribe to our YouTube channel for more deep dives on Le Podcast de Philippe.
Stay curious and connected.